Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Memorial Day. We have a special show planned for you on this holiday. We're going to talk with some of the entertainers that are coming to Roll Call. John Rich is not here with me. John's on the road, but one of John's best friends and a prolific songwriter and singer, Jeffrey Steele, is in studio with me. I'm going to have a conversation with Jeffrey Steele, kind of talk with him a little bit about Roll Call. Jeffrey has agreed to bless us with a song. And then we're going to bring in via Skype John Cooper from the Christian rock group Skillet. So sit back and later in the show, my friend Nick Searcy, friend of the show, he's been on before. He's got a book that he wants to promote. We'll bring him into the conversation as well. But this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Good Ranchers. Use my promo code FEARLESS at goodranchers.com. And with your subscription, you can claim free American Wagyu burgers for a year, a $400 value, and support veterans this Memorial Day season. Jeffrey, welcome to Fearless. I'm so honored to have you be a part of Roll Call and to have you here in studio. Put the camera back on Jeffrey for a while.
The honor is mine, Jason. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's keep the camera on Jeffrey, because Jeffrey represents what I'm trying to do with Roll Call. And so take a kid like me that grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, went to school at Ball State University, just a good Midwest kid. When I think, and again, I've lived a long time now, and so I've lived in California, but so my eyes have been open to like, what does a Christian look like? Mm-hmm. And so when you're a little black kid in Indianapolis, you don't think Jeffrey Steele, you don't think rocker, you don't think musician, you don't think people with tattoos. Mm-hmm. And so the whole concept, the conceit of Roll Call is why I partnered with John Rich. I want us to get behind or beyond our little surface level differences over skin colors and preconceived notions of what a Christian is, what a Christian looks like. You never know. And that's I've lived here in Nashville for 4 years. Mm. And so I run into a lot of guys and friends with a lot of guys that look like Jeffrey Steele. And Jeffrey Steele he runs into guys like fat black dude, like, no, we're all believers. And so that's why I'm just so honored you and John Cooper. You know, John Rich kind of looks normal except for the cowboy hat.
Except for the cowboy hat.
That's what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to introduce us to each other.
Yeah. And for me, my journey has been 15 years ago now, I'm sorry, I lost my youngest boy, which God blessed me with a lot of great talents and gifts to give to the world. And as a young man, I didn't really understand, as most don't, what those gifts were. And that was an obvious wake-up call. And so I think for the last 15 years, God has been in my life in prayer, the discipline of the prayer. That's what I try to tell people too. It's like, not about the miracle, it's about the discipline of you doing it every day. That's what keeps you floating above everything. You know what I mean? Like it keeps all the human, because you can't get above the human sometimes. And the prayer keeps you in that discipline of knowing that you're walking the right path. The miracle will show up. It always does. It always does. And for me, after this tragic event happened in my life, the message that I got from God was that you have to take this awful that you've been given, and you gotta roll it up somehow, and you're gonna make it good for everybody that you come into contact with. So my prayer started to become, put me in front of people that will help me make a difference, and that I can help make a difference. And just kept it that simple, and I don't need to tell you, things start showing up. And when you're in the prayer and you don't walk away from because sometimes people pray and then nothing happens and they're like, And I said, no, you gotta wait, you gotta talk, you gotta listen more. And you gotta just keep your eyes open, and it will always show up somewhere. And so in my life, my whole life's changed now. And just one small example, I don't want to talk your ear off, but last year I played this charity event for a group called Angel Blankets. They make these blankets and pray over them for kids and for tragic situations that they may come across. And in that prayer, it was right after the Covenant school shooting here in Nashville. I said a prayer with the group at the end of the night that I might be put somehow in front of anyone from that, tragic shooting, that I might be able to bring my, my joy that I've come to know now 15 years later through God, might be able to just bring some of that. And I prayed for that. And the next day I played this other event, and one of the families was there the very next day in front of my face. And I said, that's pretty quick. It's like less than 24 hours. But that's what I notice, and that's what I try to just stay focused and in touch with every time I pray. Like, put it in front of me. And when I go on stage, it's like I ask God. I said, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to?" Because sometimes I'm in situations that aren't really, it might be in a venue, like it might be a nightclub, it might be a theater. It's not a church, but you got to make it a church. You got to figure out a way to get it in there. So I'll ask every night right before I go on stage, how do you want me to say it? To show me what you want me to say. And I'll find a way to get into some kind of a dialogue about one of my songs or a story that I tell, and someone invariably will come up to me and go, "So what's this? What's all the?" You know what I mean? And that's, and I just go, yes, that's.
Jeffrey, what happened to your son?
He was killed in an ATV accident when he was 13. A total accidental thing. He was with some friends, and story's long to get into, but the short of it was that it was just an accident, and he died. He was 13. He was an amazing kid. He was a musical talent, and a very great skateboarder, amazing skateboarder. So now, after all that's happened, and our charity that I started with my family, rememberalex.com, we started a mentoring program with Tony Hawk, where we build these skate parks around the nation with the money that we raise with the charity. And through the YMCA, we create these media centers for kids that have no place to go after school. And then we have a mentoring program where the kids that come into the skateboard program get a free skateboard, but if they don't keep their grades up, they get it taken away. They don't get to skate. And it actually started at Rocketown, where the event's going to take place. It actually started there. And then the kids that graduate the program have to go back and mentor the next kids that come in. So it's a payback thing, and we've been able to raise a lot of money with Tony and build a lot of skate parks around the nation. Just do a lot of good stuff, and I just said, God, just take my life where you need me to take it. Like, take me where you need me to go, and show me how to do it. And that's, I don't question anything anymore. I don't worry about anything anymore. I just show up,
Boy Howdy.
Oh God.
You started there, and so
Yeah.
you were more commercial, more in secular music.
Oh yeah, I mean, and even now, like, my songs are still recorded, in the pop and country world all over the place. But I started out just, like any other kid, just trying to get a record deal that played music and was trying to be famous. Got in this band and had a few hits,
But you're probably, and I don't mean this in any kind of negative way, but you're probably best known as a songwriter. You've written for virtually everybody.
Yeah.
Some of the people you've written for.
Oh gosh.
You've written probably my favorite song of the last 2 or 3 years. Am I the only one that
Aaron
Lewis sang?
Yeah, wrote that with Aaron.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. There's My Wish and What Hurts the Most for Rascal Flatts, and Something to Be Proud of, and My Town for Montgomery Gentry. Stick That in Your Country Song was Eric Church, and Tim McGraw, Cowboy and Me. It's a lot of them. I've had Cher through Miley Cyrus on the pop side, ZZ Top, and just all over. Bob Seger on the rock and roll side, Leonard Skinner. But mainly my mainstay has been in country music here. I've been living here for 30 years, and I brought my family here from California and chasing my dream, and it's kind of how it all unfolded for me.
It's funny. I was living in LA for 10 years, from 2010 to 2020.
Yeah.
And I came here running away from my dream. I thought LA and being on TV and being famous, and I thought that was the ultimate happiness. And so I did that for 10 years on TV and all that other stuff. And then I realized, like, God's got a different plan for me, and I'm so out of line and so out of pocket. You got to leave LA, Jason, is what he basically told me.
Wow, yeah.
So I came here, and I'm so glad I did. So many just amazing people.
Oh, this is an amazing town.
It's treated me so incredibly well. From the governor to, you probably know my friend Steve Ford, to just Irv Woolsey, who just passed. But so many people have treated me so well here that, God knew best. That, the stuff that I was doing and trying to be famous and trying to, I got a dual deal where my grandmother had this great spiritual influence on me, and my dad had a pretty worldly influence on me. My dad was a really good-looking guy and like ghetto superstar. Women loved him, and I wanted to be that guy, a fat version of my dad. And I'm better off chasing after what my grandmother she planned, and that's why I'm here in Nashville. But I think we have. Do we have our friend John Cooper? We're going to bring John Cooper on from Skillet, and I'm sure
there he is.
You guys are friends and have known each other, I'm sure, for years.
No, I don't know if have we met, John?
No,
I don't think we've met. We're about to meet.
First meeting with all you folks. Good to see you.
So we're about to see each other for the first time.
Gotcha.
That's right. We're going to have us some fun.
Good to see you, though. Yes, indeed.
I'm so looking forward to this. When I reached out to John, or Elijah reached out to John, and it turns out John's friends were Virgil Walker, who comes on the show, Chalk Knox, Dave Shannon's like, oh my God, John runs in all the same circles as me. I just being real, I didn't know just how great Skillet was and John's accomplishments. So I'm sure many of my audience do, but John, we were just talking about Jeffrey's journey through the music industry and leaning into his faith. Tell us about your journey. Were you always in the Christian rock lane, or did you have a transition?
Yeah, well, it's great to be joining you guys. Thanks for having me, and nice to officially meet you, Jason. Yeah, so Skillet started in 19. Yeah, this is our meeting. It's very professional. We're awesome. So let's see. 1996, Skillet started. I always wanted to be a Christian rock singer. I never wanted to only sing to Christian people. I wanted to sing to everybody, but I always wanted to sing about my faith because, writing songs, it's your chance to write something you believe in, a chance to say something to the world. It's about the way I see the world. Maybe I had a good day. Maybe I had a bad day. Maybe a country had a bad year. Who knows what it is? But I want to sing about what I believe in through, of course, my Christian worldview and this great hope that I have in Jesus Christ, who saved me and from so many things in my life. My mom died when I was 15 years old, so through that, kind of my mom's death, subsequently fighting with my dad, being very, very angry. And it was that peace of Jesus Christ. I wanted to mix that with that great rock and roll music, because that rock music also made me feel good, you see. So I want to put all that together and tell the world about Jesus. And so we signed in 96 with a very small Christian indie label from Memphis. And then we got picked up by Lava through Atlantic Records in 2003. And that kind of was really when we opened the door and finally really found our niche.
It kind of mirrors my journey a bit in terms of God blessed me with this unique writing skill, ability to evaluate sports in a way that most people couldn't. And it took me a long time to realize, hey, how can I turn this into something that glorifies God? And that's how I ended up getting here and in Nashville and doing Fearless. It's no, I can take the sports world and the culture world and talk about it all from a biblical worldview in an entertaining way. That way I'm not just serving my own interests, I'm serving God's interests. And so a lot of this doesn't feel like work to me. And I'm sure you probably have the same feeling. You're making music that glorifies God. That's not work. That's service, I guess, is what it is.
Making music is fun, Yeah, you're right, because Everybody likes music. It's universal. I mean, we've traveled the world. Everywhere you go, people love music. It makes you feel good. When you're having a bad day, you want music. If you're having a good day, if you're going to the gym, you need some Skillet in the gym. I'll tell you, everybody needs Skillet in the gym because rock music makes you lift more, makes you run a little farther. And so music is one of those things, man. Everybody gets it. And I think that film and music is a great way to get people thinking because people are comedy is the same way. People are generally more open to thinking about things outside the box if you've made them laugh or if you gave them a great song. So that's hopefully what we're doing. And I hope I can keep at it. It's been 28 years, and I hope we get another 28 in us.
So you two guys and John Rich are all going to be on stage together. I saw you guys exchanging text messages with Butter. Mm-hmm. How's that going to work? Or I'm sure it's going to work great, but walk me and the audience through what we have planned on Saturday for you three guys.
Well, what's great about it is we probably don't really know yet. We have no idea what we're doing, which is kind of how it rolls, right? But the Nashville kind of tradition is the writer in the round, where 3 or 4 writers get together and try out their new songs. That's kind of a Nashville thing that's become, just emphasized over the years, and it's become almost a cliche thing here in Nashville. But we just kind of tell stories and trade off songs as we go around, and light up the audience, and right. I mean,
is that anything like battle rap? Will there be some ego competition mixed in here?
The only rap I can do is, my name is John, I'm here to say. That's about the only rap I can do. So no, I hope now, maybe the kind when you tell your mama jokes, you tell your mama jokes at each other and you try to see who's going to, maybe I could do that better than rap, actually, yeah.
But it's usually fun because it's very spontaneous. We'll jump in on each other's songs and sing harmonies, and it's just a very spontaneous sort of thing, and it's usually a really, really fun time.
Yeah, I was telling Jeffrey before we brought you on, or maybe it was even off camera, just last year, in the first year of Roll Call, music was a part of what we were doing, but I think it's moving forward, the vision for this year moving forward, and why I reached out to John Rich is I want to make music a bigger part because it's my contentions, like the only thing, music and food, good music and good food, it's hard to disagree about.
It's hard to beat, man.
It's hard because I moved here as a non-country music fan. The only country music I was dating a girl that took me to a Kenny Chesney concert years ago. That was my only experience with country music. I moved here and I got in the habit of listening to it, and you instantly recognize.
Absolutely.
Like, holy cow, this is an incredible song.
Yeah.
And I'm to tell on myself a little bit too. I didn't know anything about Adele for probably the first 10, 15 years, because all I listened I listened to R&B and rap growing up, and that's it. So I literally, when I first discovered Adele, may have been 2018, and I started running around, people go, have you heard of this woman Adele? Man, she's great. And people look at me like,
look at you.
Like, are you crazy?
Where have you been?
Yes. That's how I feel now listening to country music.
Yeah.
Because when I heard Am I the Only One, it brought me to tears.
Yeah.
And I drove around just listening to that song, maybe for a month. That would be, I just repeated it over and over again. It hit me that strong. John Cooper, I don't know if you know this, but Jeffrey Steele wrote that. Aaron Lewis sang it.
I did not know that until you just said it. I was thinking, does he mean the Aaron Lewis song? So you did. That's a killer song. That is a killer song.
Thank you.
Did you remember when it came? Well, I'm asking Jeff if he remembers when it came out. Obviously you remember when it came out. It was so necessary, and it was so countercultural. It was so needed, and everybody in the audience just felt like, oh my gosh, finally somebody said the thing that people are scared to say, because in this business, man, you stand up for righteousness. You stand up for even just for like American culture, individual liberties. I could not believe the very few amount of people in the music business that would stand against all the insanity of lockdowns and mandatory, let's say jabs. I don't know if they'll ding us on YouTube. All the stuff. Oh my gosh, it was insane. And that's when I started getting vocal, because I thought, well, I don't really want to be talking about this stuff, but who's gonna? And so I just started going, man, I don't want to lose my liberty. I don't want to lose my ability to preach about Jesus Christ. I don't want to lose. In fact, I'm wearing my friend David's shirt here. Leave our kids alone here, David Harris Jr. Leave our kids alone. I don't want to
leave them alone.
Leave them.
I have a song about that too.
I think such wickedness. So good job, brother. Good job.
Thank you. And to his point, as a guy who's been in the business for 40 something years, writing songs, rhyming words, I've always written the same song about American value, life, family, God, faith, and culture. And that's when I'm observing the world, I write what I see. So I've always written this song. It's a little bit more obviously over the top in that moment of time, but I got so much flack from the industry saying, Jeff, what are you so mad about? It's the same song I've been writing. It's just we're in a time now where you can't really say it anymore. And I got, like I said, for a guy who's been around a long time, a lot of pushback. And it was interesting to see that from my peers and friends, that you shouldn't say that.
John, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I'm going to have Jeffrey sing us out of here. But what we're seeing, in my view, is, and I don't want to call it a benefit, but it is in some kind of way, the level of wickedness has actually enhanced the power of Christian music, good country music, good patriotic music. We're seeing a musical revival from music that used to be on the fringe, but now things are so wicked. It's Christian music, Christian rap, country music is really the mainstream. It's really, because again, you know what, where art comes from, great art and great music, it comes from being persecuted. People are feeling pain and they want to express their pain and cry out to the Lord. And it's this Christian music and country music that's filling that void.
I wanted to say, to your point, when you do that to people and when you crush something good that's trying to be good, when you keep crushing it into the ground, it's God. You're planting seeds for great things to grow. That's what I believe. Like, you can keep crushing it down and saying no more, no more, no more, but the good's going to keep growing out in abundance. If it's real and right, it's going to just blossom, and that's why I think, to your point, we're seeing a lot more great music now coming out. And of course, we still don't have all the usual outlets that we've always had, but they're coming too. I mean, you know.
John, final word, and we'll let you go.
Yeah,
and John, great to meet you, by the way. I can't wait to see you.
You too, brother. And a couple things as we go. Number one, you got to write me a hit song, please. Don't call Aaron. Don't be calling Aaron and say, I got a new one. Say, call John Cooper and say, I got something for you.
I'm ready for you.
Anyway,
I'm ready.
Hey, Jason, I wouldn't mind just if I could just go off for one quick second. I'm going to roll a few things together, because what I was excited about Roll Call was because, I'm familiar with you. I've listened to you. I've read your stuff, and I've listened to stuff. And I know your stand for family values and stand against wickedness in the culture, promoting families, promoting fatherhood. My lands, do we need it? So I'm only want to say this very quickly because I did have some people hit me last week. I know there was a dust up last week about the Roll Call thing, and you kind of covered it on your show about, are there going to be some people on stage that aren't Christians? Is it exclusively Christian and this, that, and the other? And I just want to say, for my part, I think what I always understood Roll Call to be was, let's come together and let's promote good values. Let's promote fatherhood. Let's promote traditional things in America that we need. Let's stand against righteousness. And there's going to be a large Christian presence. That's what I understood it to be. So I just want to say, for my part, I welcome anybody, I don't care who you are, to come stand against evil and stand with us. At the same time, as I want to be dead clear for me, there is no other hope other than Jesus Christ, of course. There's only one way to heaven, and that is Jesus Christ. There is no other moral foundation that will work for this country besides Jesus and, of course, his law word. That's what we rest upon. So I just wanted to say that and say, that's why I'm excited about being at Roll Call as well. We need men to rise up, make a stand in the culture, and just say, we have had enough of this wickedness. And so to the point about music, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that were asleep for a long, long time, and they thought, oh, it's not that bad. All these Christians or all these conservatives, whoever, they're just yelling about culture war, and it's not going to get that bad. And then 2020 hit, and the bottom fell out, and normal people like me went, oh, wow, I never thought it'd get that bad. I guess I got to say something. We're all praying, God, bring us some prophets to stand up in the culture and rebuke evil, or bring us to John the Baptist to rebuke Herod and say, you took your brother's wife, you cannot do that. We're praying for those prophets, and maybe God's saying, hey, Jason, that's you. Hey, John, that's you. Hey, everybody show up to Roll Call and play the prophet, and we need to take this nation back and preach the name of Jesus Christ and his word that never, ever changes. So it's going to be an honor to be there, and I can't wait to meet you face to face and give you a hug and get to see some of my really good friends, including John Rich.
John, thank you so much for that. We're going to shine a light so bright that the people that we may have disagreements with, if we shine a bright enough light, I guarantee you those differences will go away, and we'll let God do the judging and do the leading. We're just going to center Jesus Christ on Saturday, and we're going to hear from a wide spectrum of people. But Vody Bacham is going to be off the chains. E.W. Jackson is going to be off the chains. Alan Jackson out of Murfreesboro. Anthony Walker. We're going to be very biblically sound, and we're going to entertain folks with some great music and some great food. And Jeffrey, if you don't mind,
no, not at all.
Give them a little taste of what's in store for us on Saturday, and
sure.
We'll go to commercial after this and bring back Nick Searcy.
So this is a song I wrote about I saw a dad and his kid in a coffee shop talking, and I'm one of those guys that stands in lines, and I'll get my ear on the conversation because I'm a songwriter, and I'm one of the and he said something. Kid was going apparently up East Coast to Boston, and probably to school or something, and the old man said, "Oh man, hey, I know people up there. I can hook you up, Red Sox. I can hook you up, whatever." And I'm just kind of listening, standing in line, and I've had a lot happen in my life over the years, and I started thinking about what that meant, and it's just something that everybody says, oh, I know people up there, I can get you a place to eat for dinner, So I thought about that and wrote this song. He said you headed off to Boston later on today. Why would anyone leave Georgia for the East Coast anyway? Did you get a job? Well, what's it pay? Must be a girl. What's her name? I got a couple of Yankee buddies, don't think I ever mention. Put two fingers to your temple when you see them and tell them old Georgia sent you. Yeah, I know people up there. You'll be okay. They'll probably give you trouble, laugh and charge you double when you drop my name. But they'll take you in just like one of their own. Like family man when you need some family far from home. Yeah, I know people up there. You said, I hope to hell you change the oil and check the brakes. 'Cause that bucket of rust, she runs on luck, and you'll be pushing yours all the way. Here's a card, there's a town, about halfway if you break down. And a crazy ass old hippie from my high school football team. He rode the bench, we called him Wrench, 'cause he could fix about anything. Yeah, I know people up there, they'll be okay. He'll probably tell a bad joke about how I choked in that last big game. But he'll fix you up just like one of his own. He's family man when you need some family far from home. Yeah, I know people up there. I know people up there. Well, I called him up last Sunday to tell him how I was getting on. He was coughing, laughing when I told him Yankee said, tell old Georgia he's a lying dog. And we talked damn near 2 hours when he told me about the test. He said they found a spot on my chest, 6 months at best. That's life, I guess. Mom's got the whole church on the phone saying a prayer. But hell, man, I ain't scared. I know people up there I ain't seen in years. They'll be hugging my neck the second they hear old George is here. And they'll take me in just like one of their own. Be good to hear the good Lord saying welcome home. Yeah, I know people up there. We all know people up there. People up there.
I can't touch that. Let's just go to commercial. Wow. Wow. FearlessArmyRollCall.com. You better be there on Saturday. Wow.
Please come and see us.
Wow. Nick Searcy next. There are voices and songs crying out for men to live up to their biblical responsibilities, to correct a corrupt and broken culture. We can no longer afford to ignore the tug on the heart that all good men hear and feel. We have lost our way, and we know it. You can see it in the eyes and actions of scared, frustrated, and confused children. Free speech, it's under attack. The meritocracy, it's been scrapped in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Identity politics separates us by color. As we step further and further away from our identity in Christ, Satan steals the innocence of children. Join me.
We need courage, not perfection.
John Rich.
You're the benefactor of the fact that the founding fathers recognized that's where your inalienable rights come from.
Glenn Beck.
You are the leaders of freedom and liberty in the world.
Mark Robinson.
Ain't but two genders.
Pastor E.W. Jackson.
But I owe my identity not to my race. I owe my identity to the Lord Jesus Christ.
And members of the Fearless Army in Nashville on Saturday, June 1st for Roll Call 2.0. Visit FearlessArmyRollCall.com to reserve your spot at the Men's Summit that will restore your faith and your resolve to fight. Welcome back. Our friend of the show, Nick Searcy, in studio. Nick, you got a tough act to follow. I don't know, did you hear Jeffrey Steele? I know people up there. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then Nick and then Jeffrey, they met previously, but then Nick reminded Jeff, John Rich has this new song coming out, Revelation, that is amazing. And Nick is starring in perhaps his most appropriate role as the devil in the song Revelation.
Yeah.
You've heard Revelation, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. And John called me up and he said, I need somebody to play Satan. And I said, well, I've played a lot of Democrats. That'll be just one more.
It's when I heard that, I was like, this is John Rich. That's really expanding, broadening, showing a different side of himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a really interesting, really dark song.
Yeah.
Got a lot of power in it. And
Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
It's Johnny Cash.
It is.
I'm like,
Yeah.
John Rich can do Johnny Cash. And
Yeah.
So I can't wait for people to hear that at Roll Call. But Nick is here because Nick has a book out. He's got part 2 of Capital Punishment, a documentary about January 6th.
Right.
I'm going to let you be my guy. Where you want to start? You want to talk about the book or the documentary?
Let's talk about the documentary first.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So update us on.
Well, the documentary.
No, let's play the trailer first.
Yeah, play the trailer.
Play the trailer for Nick's new documentary.
If you are suggesting that the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources or FBI agents, the answer is no, it was not.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
It's not protest, it's insurrection.
When I said how many agents or assets of the government were present on January 5th and January 6th and agitating in the crowd to go into the Capitol and how many went into the Capitol, can you answer that now?
I don't know the answer to that question.
You don't know how many there were or there were none?
I don't know the answer to either of those questions.
I think you may have just perjured yourself that you don't know that there were any.
Smoke pops, and when Neff starts to leave, he's got 4 people in front of him and 4 people behind him, and they literally get him the hell out of there.
Based on your investigation so far, do you have any evidence that the Capitol attack was organized by, quote, fake Trump protesters?
We have not seen evidence of that.
We need to go into the Capitol.
I was in the front. I also orchestrated it.
Love that title, The War on Truth, because that is what we're witnessing.
Yeah.
Expound on what we're going to see in 2 that we didn't maybe see in 1.
Well, it continues the story of what's being done to these people that went to Washington on January 6th, just like I did. I was there. And so what the media's been showing you on television, the reason I started down this road of making these films is that they were obviously lying about what happened that day. They didn't show you the full truth. And the oppression of people is continuing. They're continuing to arrest people. Matthew Graves, the district attorney in the District of Columbia, said he's going to arrest 1,000 more people this year, and he's going to start to focus on the people that didn't go in the building, that just stood around outside, because he claims that those people had already committed a crime by entering a restricted area. But as you see in our film, all of the signs saying that this was a restricted area was taken down by a group of operatives that we don't know who they are. It was taken down so that the people who walked from Trump's speech at the Ellipse to the Capitol building didn't know that that area was restricted. And besides, that's the Capitol building. That's the people's house. It shouldn't be restricted anyway. So these lies are continuing, and as you'll see in the film, it really is a war on truth. It's deeper than just January 6th. This is a battle to get to say who decides what the truth is, because in the left worldview, of course, truth is relative and truth can be manipulated to whatever they want it to be. So that's what the movie's about.
And so and I know Sarah McAbee and others are hopeful that Trump wins the election.
Yeah.
Will that put an end to this? If he does, will he direct I just can't imagine. They're planning to prosecute people that didn't even go inside the Capitol.
Right.
Is that the Biden administration, or how do we stop that?
Well, I think you stop it by, you have to have a president in there who just basically issues a blanket pardon and just stops all of this. But you have to realize how desperate these people are, how committed they are to this lie. And I don't see how they accept it, even if Trump wins the election. I don't see how they allow him to take office. They're not going to stop. They're going to continue to push these lies, because if they are ever exposed, they all go down. They all go to prison. I mean, none of this is legal, what they're doing. They're only getting away with it because they're doing it in the District of Columbia, where they own everything. They own the judges, they own the prosecutors, they even own most of the defense attorneys, and the juries are all 90% on their side. So they are ramming this through without the benefit of having it be legal, and they're not going to stop.
Does what you're arguing, does that put you in jeopardy? Could you be a potential person if they go that route?
Well, sure. I mean, the director of the film that I did, Capital Punishment, has already been approached by the FBI. They didn't treat him like they treat most of the people in our movie. They didn't break down his door or send a SWAT team. But they sent 2 guys in suits over with a business card and said, we just have a few questions for you. And, you know, we got a report that you might be a terrorist threat because of that movie you made. And most of the questions they asked were, what did you talk with Nick Searcy about? What did you guys do on January 6th? All this stuff. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they come after me. Sometimes I wonder why they haven't yet.
Have you followed the Steve Baker case, the journalist that works for the Blaze, and he's got perp walked, I believe, in Dallas.
Yeah.
And they seem dead determined to get him. Your thoughts on what they're doing?
Well, he's in the movie. We interview him in the movie. I was just with him this past weekend when we premiered the movie. He was at the premiere. And he's somebody, this is why it's a war on truth. All Steve Baker did was go into the Capitol and film everything he did as a journalist. Didn't touch a thing, didn't assault anybody, did nothing but film. And they are coming after him because of the articles that he's written, the truths that he's exposed. He went after Harry Dunn, the Capitol Police. They are coming after him because of the information he is presenting. And that information is contrary to the government narrative. And they're going to come after everybody who violates their narrative. That's why it's a war on truth.
So, Nick, did you see Bill Maher's interview with Megyn Kelly? And again, I'm someone that halfway enjoys real time, have been watching it for years. But I'm a little bit tired, worn out of people celebrating Bill Maher.
Right.
Because people that are telling you truths that were obvious 3, 5, 10 years ago and getting credit for being 3, 5, 10 years late, that bothers me because where we are right now, someone as smart as him should have been able to recognize, like, hey, everything that I'm doing is going to lead to this kind of tyranny.
Yeah.
But when he was on Megyn Kelly's show, this is where this war on truth, because he's getting all this credit as the reasonable leftist. The man sat there and said police officers were killed on January 6th by Trump people, and he stood on that. And Megyn Kelly, did a great job pushing back. But I'm uncomfortable that I halfway like Bill Maher, but I've kind of had it with Bill Maher. Like, quit telling obvious lies.
Well, it's shocking how ignorant he is, because if he actually believes that 5 police officers were killed, then he's just been successfully propagandized. The administration continues to say this, even though it's that 5 police officers, no one died on January 6th. Brian Sicknick, who they claimed at first was bludgeoned to death, was
Pastor
never...
Babbitt died on January 6th.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and Roseanne Boylan and 2 other people that we've profiled in the movie. But Brian Sicknick died the next day of a stroke, natural causes, and the other 4 officers that they claimed died on January 6th killed themselves. They committed suicide, in some cases, months later. Months later. It had nothing to do with January 6th. So the fact that Bill Maher... I tend to think maybe Bill Maher he knows that he's lying. Because what happens with these lies is that the lie is useful for the 2 or 3 years that it changes what they want to change. And then when there's no harm done, they can come out and say, oh yeah, we were wrong about that, but that's old news. It's already done the damage that they wanted it to do, like COVID, so now it's okay to admit it or to let it be known. They never admitted in real time when it would make a difference.
This next statement, tiny bit easier for me to say, but I know you're not scared either. But I look at what they've done with George Floyd. and what they accomplished with George Floyd. And it makes me question everything I've been told in history, because I'm like, this man overdosed on drugs. He's a career criminal. He disobeyed the police for 20 straight minutes. It's all on camera. Derek Chauvin's a 165-pound man. This guy was not choked out by this knee, and it's just so fast. But they've got Juneteenth. They started giving away DEI jobs to everybody in corporate America, all based on these lies about George Floyd.
Yeah.
And so by the time people catch up to the lies, they've already installed things. They've already promoted people to, every company said, hey, I got to put a black woman or a lesbian person or this person in a high, so I can be diverse. And it's the George Floyd internships or jobs that were given out. That's why I think your movie's just so, they don't need the lies forever. They just need it long enough for them to capitalize on them.
Right, and that's what the lie was for. That's in the first movie that I did, Capital Punishment, there's a man who talks about what happened with George Floyd, and he said every year there's a certain number of people that are killed by police under questionable circumstances. And all they have to do is find the one that fits the profile that they want to exploit, and then they exploit that one. And that's what happened with George Floyd. They found something that would advance their agenda. They made up a bunch of lies about it. Everybody in the media carried the water for that lie. And now we have what we have because of the lie. And even now, when we know it was a lie, it doesn't matter anymore. That's old news. We've moved on. So that's how they work.
And so how do you react to this, Nick? Because this is a sincere belief. I went to TPUSA and spoke from the stage, 3, 4, 5, I can't remember how many thousand people. But my message was, hey, white dudes, quit being punks. You're going to continue to let these guys just lie on you and change this country, and you're going to sit there and be in fear and say, if I say something, if I push back, I could lose my position. They're fundamentally changing the country, in my view, because white guys are afraid to stand on truth and just say, and get called all the names. And I'm not asking you to do something I'm not willing to do. I get called names too.
Yeah.
I'm an Uncle Tom, I'm a sellout, I hate black people, all of it.
Yeah.
But I sit there and say, hey, white dudes, y'all had a lot of power and you're just giving it away to all these people that, anyway, I'm a bit, honestly just frustrated with white dudes like, hey, stand up, quit being punks.
I agree with that. I mean, I know that even in my profession, there's a lot of actors that, people, you would know them, if not by name, you'd know their face. And they come up to me all the time and go, I really like what you're doing. I like the things you stand for. I agree with you, but I could never say that out loud because it would cost me everything. And I go, well, if you lose the country, what good's your little career going to be? I mean, because that's what we're up against. When we were making this movie, one of the people we interviewed was my pastor in California. His name is Rob McCoy. He's also a good friend of Charlie Kirk's, wonderful guy. And we interviewed him because we found that in making the movie, so many of the people we were profiling, we follow these people as they say goodbye to their families, as they go to prison for trespassing, and all the things that have been done to them. And it just, over and over again, these people were Christians. They were veterans, they were police officers, but almost all of them were Christians. And so we were asking Rob McCoy, is this a war on Christianity? Is the government going after Christians? And Rob said, well, it's not exactly that, but it's a war on truth. We as Christians are called to stand for the truth, and people that stand for the truth are the enemies of this administration. And so that's how the film got its title.
So I do see it as an explicit war on Christianity.
Yeah.
I do. Because Jesus came, sacrificed, died, resurrected, and it was to bring us all together. There was no more Jew and Gentile, all image bearers of Christ. And this whole tactic, strategy they're using, hey, how do we separate these people? How do we get Nick Searcy and Jason Whitlock not to see each other as image bearers of Christ, but he's a white guy, I'm a black guy.
Yeah.
And they've done it it's a total affront to all of our biblical worldview and values, and that's look. Yeah. I sit here every day or a lot of days and say, hey, black folks, this racial idolatry, cut it out. It's an affront to Jesus Christ. Quit claiming these Christian values, and I give Charlie Kirk and others credit for saying, hey, white guys, quit being punks. Whitlock's over there calling out black dudes. We're gonna be over here calling out white guys. And that's what the whole, piggybacking off what the conversation with Jeffrey Steele, but that's what my roll call event is about, is we gotta come together, put our little petty differences aside, and realize like, hey man, they're really attacking Jesus Christ. It's not me and you. No. And so are we gonna rally up and defend our king? Or are we going to be punks and just wait to be persecuted? Wait, Steve Baker going to jail, or it hadn't yet, but Sarah McAbee's husband going to jail, and all these other people sitting in jail for nothing, for confronting the elected officials who are doing them wrong. I get emotional. I was happy to see you, but every time I talk to you, I start getting fired up and emotional. I'm going to lighten up the conversation. I want to talk about
one more thing. Jesus said, I am the truth, the way, and the life. And that's why they have to attack the truth. They're attacking Jesus.
Justify This is the name of Nick's new book. That's where I discovered Nick. Justify, how many seasons was it? 7?
6.
6. So the first 5 seasons I loved, the last season not so much. Mm-hmm. But that's where I discovered Nick, is in the TV show Justified. And so you've written a memoir about your career. Give us the lowdown on your book.
Well, a lot of it is about, how I got started, how I've decided to be an actor, and I didn't know anybody who'd ever been an actor. I was from Western North Carolina, a little bitty town, and I really didn't know anything, and I just sort of blundered through. And
so you weren't in high school, you weren't trying to be an actor? Or?
Well, what happened to me when I was about 12 years old, I grew up in a university town, and the local university there needed a kid for one of their plays. And so they came down.
They were casting for an ugly child. Is that how you got the inside track?
They came down to my school, and they said, do you have any kids here that might be interested in acting? And my 5th grade teacher said, that kid's been doing Tom Jones impressions at show and tell. He probably wants to be an actor. So I did that play when I was 12, and then I just loved it. And then the next year I did another play at the university, and after that, we didn't even have a drama department at my school, but I was making the English teacher sponsor my plays, and so I was doing, I remember doing a production of Edward Albee's The Zoo Story in the school cafeteria for all the...
So you were writing these yourself?
I didn't write them, no, but I just, I made them all do plays.
Gotcha.
And so that's sort of how I got started, and then I just, I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was about 12. I just didn't know how,
So when did you move to LA or Hollywood, or when did you go?
I graduated from University of North Carolina. My senior year was Michael Jordan's freshman year. We won. But then I moved to New York after that, and I was in New York for 7 years, studying and doing plays and working way off Broadway.
Did you have any inclination in those early years that Hollywood had some kind of secret agenda?
No, I really didn't. I mean, I didn't really make a film, any headway into the film world until I was about 31. And even then I was in North Carolina working regionally. A lot of the films had come there, and I got little parts in Days of Thunder and a little part in The Fugitive, and I got a pretty big part in Fried Green Tomatoes, which was my big break. I was the bad. I have to
go rewatch that. I think I watched it, but I may have to go rewatch that.
I was the bad guy. I was the wife-beating husband.
So.
So after that, I had enough juice to move to Hollywood after that in about 92, and I started working a lot. I started playing a lot more wife-beating husbands and Klansmen, and I played a lot of bad guys.
You were but in Justify, you were the good guy.
Right, yeah. I played good guys here and there. I played an astronaut in From the Earth to the Moon, and I was a good guy in Castaway. But I started feeling weird about playing so many wife beaters, and I went to my wife and I said, "Why do you think I keep getting cast as all these guys who beat up women. And Leslie said, well, you don't look like you could beat up a man.
I'm asking this lightheartedly. But you can take it however, you can take the question or answer whatever direction you want. But I was friends with, and I consider myself friendly with Michael Rappaport. And he was in Justified.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of movies that I liked. But I can remember when I got to meet Michael out in L.A. and we went to dinner a few times, and I think he probably appeared on my show, but I know he used to come on FS1 a lot. I was like, man, Michael Rappaport, what a crazy leftist he is. Mm-hmm. But even Michael Rappaport is starting to warm up on Donald Trump.
He's starting to wake up.
Yeah, what do you think of Mike?
I've met Mike a couple of times. I mean, his character actually shot me in Justified. And his son, Michael's a big basketball guy.
Yes.
And my son, growing up, my son played a lot of travel team basketball, and I saw Michael a lot at these games. He coached a team and all this. So, yeah, I've known Michael for a long time. I mean, we're not close friends, but I know him. And it has been pretty surprising to see him really kind of start to wake up. I mean, it's like he's beginning, I think the COVID thing really got to him. And now he's beginning to see that it's not just COVID they were lying about, dude. They're lying about everything. And the more people start to face that and to realize that, then we can get something done. But as long as everybody's falling for the lies, because like you said before, the lies are meant to divide us. They're meant to pit us against each other. And as long as we keep falling for them, we're going to be at odds.
Who's the most talented actor you ever worked with? I have someone in mind, but you.
Wow, the most talented. I mean, it's hard to pick just one. I would probably go with Gene Hackman, just because
That's a great one.
He was my hero. But Jodie Foster, I worked with her. I mean,
what movie?
Nell, with Liam Neeson and Jodie Foster, and Hanks. I mean, Tom Hanks is a lot of fun to work with. I would probably go though with Gene Hackman. He's just such a versatile, such a great actor. And growing up, when I saw Gene Hackman on screen, I thought, well, if he can do it, I can probably do it.
That's a good comp for you.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Walton Goggins guy.
Yeah.
He in The Shield. I don't know if you ever saw The Shield.
Yeah.
Shane Vendrell, his story arc, and then the final season.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy cow, this guy can act. I mean, the arc between he and Vic Mackey, Shane Vendrell, I just thought was great. And then he was a part of the reason I loved Justified so much. He was the bad guy. What was his name on Justified?
Boyd Crowder.
Boyd Crowder.
Yeah.
Walton's got the biggest teeth in Hollywood, but man, what an incredible actor he is. Anyway, why should people pick up Justified? What are they what's gonna be the overall take? What are you trying to inspire?
Well, there's chapters in there. It's not just about acting. There's a really good chapter in there about the adoption of my son Omar. We adopted Omar out of the foster care system, and just about that journey, that what we learned by doing that, and how at the beginning we thought we've just got to get him out of this horrible situation, and what we realized by the end was like we weren't just adopting him, we were adopting his whole family. And so now, in a way, his family has been joined with mine. And that's a really wonderful thing. There's chapters in there about my stint as a wrestling manager. I did some professional wrestling work.
Wow.
Which I loved. And, it's a book about, it's really a book about that you can do anything you want, because as a kid in North Carolina who didn't know any actors, if I can do it, you can do whatever. You can pursue your dreams and you can make them happen.
Great message to end on. Nick, thank you so much for stopping by. Can't wait to watch The War on Truth. Well, you leaving me this book?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
I'm going to autograph it for you. That way it'll be worth like about, $39 or something.
I'll be in the bathroom when you're autographing this because I'm about to wet my pants. We'll play tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want